Chapter 10 of the Advanced Public Relations and Advertising deals with publicity. Promotions are paid messages, and publicity is free exposure in news articles. Effective public relations has several common characteristics. Public relation departments often produce internal publications. Public relation also involves managing events that are scheduled by others. They also produce special events. Video news releases are becoming more common. Public relation attempts to prompt publicity in the mass media. Technology has had a tremendous impact on public relations, and public relation practitioners often give interviews and conduct news conferences. Publicity means free exposure from news articles written by reporters. On the other hand, promotions are paid commercials. Promotions push the image of the organization as a whole, while marketing pushes individual products. The purpose of promotions is to change public opinion. The purpose of public relations is to maintain a positive public image of the organization. Another purpose of public relations is to influence public opinions about a specific issue that is of interest to the organization. Advertisements sometimes appear to be the same as news articles. To lessen confusion, newspapers often print a border around full-page advertisements. But inserts or supplements to newspapers or magazines often mimic the look of the publication. Info commercials are paid 30 minutes to an hour-long promotions on TV. Producers often try to give the info commercial the feel of a news program, often with an anchor behind a desk and on-air reporters who interview people. Video news releases are relatively new, but some local broadcast news organizations are using them. They often use the whole clip without even telling the viewers that it was provided by the company as promotion. Funny ads catch people's attention, but often people remember the ad, but not the company that sponsored the ad. Viewers don't like negative advertisements, and while they may work in politics, people don't think they're credible, so negative ads do not work well for businesses. However, people do rate as credible advertisements that compare the features of different products. The firm's logo is a symbol of the brand, and the public should associate it with a positive image of the organization. Image ads can change the public opinion to create a positive image of the organization. Public relations involves planning and organizing events to publicize the organization. Officers of the organization may be asked to speak at conferences or at other events, such as serving as the commencement speaker at a college. This raises the profile of the organization and adds prestige, which helps polish the firm's public image. Often these invitations are extended only after contact by the public relations office. Events must be newsworthy in order to generate reports in the news media, so they must be unique, such as the announcement of a new product. Another newsworthy event is one that impacts the local community, like groundbreaking for a new building which would lead to new jobs. Be nice to the media. Perhaps invite them to a tour of the facilities. Make it newsworthy by inviting the public to tour the plant as well. The standing of the person who speaks may also make an event newsworthy. News media will cover a visit by a politician or a famous person. The organization may also get publicity by sponsoring charity events, like the Relay for Life. Public relations also create special events to attract publicity. The old adage is that any publicity is good as long as they spell your name right. That might be true for people. Think about how many entertainment stars have actually benefited from negative publicity. But the organizations do not benefit from bad news. So public relation practitioners must be careful that a special event doesn't backfire on the organization. Companies may rent blimps to fly over sports events or a stationary balloon to fly over their business. They can hire spotlights to shine up in the air at night to attract attention. Some companies pay radio or TV stations to do remote broadcasts from their location. Or they can give away refreshments to visitors or offer special giveaways like a lottery. Edward Bernays was a public relations pioneer. One thing that he did that has carried on to today was to create nonprofits to influence public opinion in areas in which his clients had an interest. For example, Reynolds Metals hired him to help sell fluoride, which was a byproduct of their production process. Bernays set up citizens groups to push local governments to add fluoride to water in an effort to strengthen teeth and, of course, to sell the fluoride for his client. Bad publicity, such as industrial accident, creates curiosity about the organization. Public relations can provide positive information about the organization that the media will use to provide background for coverage of the crisis. News media also needs positive public interest stories to soften the impact of all their negative news. So they will sometimes report on extraordinary things like an employee who had worked 20 years without taking a single sick day. The Public Relations Department generates publications, either physical paper brochures or digital documents. Brochures are generally one page front and back, tri-folded to make it easy to carry. The difference between a newsletter and a magazine is mostly that of size. The distinction should be that a newsletter reports events, while magazines include in-depth descriptive stories about the organization. Organizations sometimes get extra mileage out of publicity by distributing copies of the news article that was written about the firm. Many corporations have stopped printing annual reports because of the cost. The internet provides means to make the information for investors available continuously, so actually investors have little interest in annual reports. However, annual reports are read by people other than investors, especially members of the press, so annual reports are more of a public relations document. Some annual reports, like that of Berkshire Hathaway, are highly anticipated by the press because the CEO, Warren Buffett, has become a national celebrity in his own right. Many companies have closed-circuit TV systems in their offices and plants which can show videos such as an address by the CEO. Video news releases are still in their developmental stage. One mistake that some public relations departments make is putting too much into video. The video should be tightly focused on one narrow interest or one event. Don't put fluff like interviews with employees who testify to the greatness of the organization. What do they expect to say on air? That they hate the company? These fake interviews have no credibility. Focus the video not on the organization but rather on the intended audience. What can be shown to affect the public opinion of this group? TV stations will very seldom use the entire video news release. Rather, they will take clips from it, so concentrate on impressive visuals that are up to date. Written and video press releases are now carried by companies who make them available to news media across the nation. In addition, news articles are carried by wire services that make them available around the globe. Organizations also publish their press releases on their own websites, which is then available to everybody, not just to news media. The cutting edge of public relations is video news releases, which companies also post on their own website and put on public websites such as YouTube. Organizations are making use of social media, including Facebook likes and friends, to spread the PR message. Also, most news media organizations have installed electronic information systems for reporters to use for research. So articles written about the company in the past are more easily available to reporters who are writing current articles. The purpose of a press release is to get reporters to write articles about the organization. Study the style book of the news media and write the press release in the style of that particular publication. Send the press release to the appropriate reporter. Don't send a press release about a financial event to the sports reporter. Press releases must be newsworthy in order to be successful. Statements by corporate officers are much more newsworthy than a statement by a public relations department. It may be the 20th anniversary of the plant or something else unique like triplets who all work for the same company. Most often, news reporters are interested in events that affect the lives of their readership or viewers. For example, they would be very interested in a plant expansion that would generate more jobs in the community. Timing is everything. If a disaster overseas focuses public attention on the work conditions in factories that make goods for the American market, the press may be very interested in companies that manufacture items locally. Often news reports focus on labor strikes or public protest. The public relations department must be ready to respectfully put forth the company's position on the issues in order to protect the public image of the organization. Interviews are part of the public relations job. The general rule is to give short, concise, factual answers. Also treat interviewers with respect. When they ask negative questions, it's not personal, they're just doing business. However, immediately correct any mistakes and never let them put words in your mouth. Ensure that the quotes are correct. In fact, record all interviews to ensure that an objective record is made of what was said. Never ever answer hypothetical questions. Always answer with facts and keep it short and simple. Play to your audience, which is the public whose opinions are important. So use common, everyday language rather than acronyms and industry terms. Never say, "No comment," because it looks like you have something to hide. Instead, either explain why you cannot release the information, maybe because there's an ongoing investigation or it would violate the privacy of the employees or customers. If you don't know the answer to something, promise to get back to the reporter with the answer and keep your promise. Never criticize the press or an opponent. Not only does it make you look like a whiner, but criticizing the press is like throwing rocks at a hornet's nest. The pen may be mightier than the sword, but you only have one pen while the press has whole barrels of ink to use in a fight. Publicity means free news articles, while promotion means paid commercials. The two methods work together in public relations. However, promotions must be appropriate in order to change public opinions. Organizations often produce newsletters or magazines that they distribute to employees or customers. Planning and organizing events are also part of the public relations job. Video news releases are relatively new, but you need to bear in mind that TV news will only carry clips from the video. Press releases must be newsworthy in order to actually prompt articles in the media. It is faster and cheaper and easier to issue press releases, so some public relations departments make the mistake of sending out a flood. So now reporters feel overwhelmed by press releases, so it's more important than ever to build relationships with the media and to only issue well-written, newsworthy press releases. Interviews and news conferences are also part of the job of public relations.